Hi, and welcome to this week's lesson walkthrough on the book of Elijah we're looking at this week. So if you haven't already done so, can I encourage you, head over to the website at truewaykids.com. Now you can download this week's lesson for free and you can follow along. If this is your first video you're watching, every week we upload a free printable lesson for preschool children to engage with God's word, to explore it and to apply it to their life. So once you've downloaded this week's lesson, you'll find on the front cover here a picture of Elijah after he's there praying on the mountain, asking for God to send a fire to show that he is the true God against the false prophets. And as we go into a lesson, we start to explore something of Elijah's life. Now, if you're familiar with this Bible passage, there's so many things we could talk about when looking at Elijah. So what we're going to try and do is skim over it. I encourage you to look at the main points or try to split them out over the week. So we're going to start off by looking at how God provided for Elijah. So you'll remember that Elijah went to see King Ahab and said there's not going to be any rain. And God told Elijah to go to the brook and let the ravens would feed him. So you're going to see that how when we trust God, that God provides for our needs. God meets our needs. Then we're going to look at the account with the widow gathering sticks, that she only had food enough for one more meal, but then God kept it going to provide for her, her son, and also for Elijah. Then we're going to see the account with the false prophets and praying for the fire and how God supernaturally worked there. Then finally we're going to look at Elijah in the cave when God spoke to him through a quiet whisper. And this is something I think that's really important for us to teach our children, because so often we can make these Bible heroes to be like our heroes, to be not like us. And it's important that we teach our children that they were real people, that while they had victories and good moments like we do, they also had times of pain and difficult moments like we do. And when you've got to Elijah is this, that despite God did all these amazing things through him, he got sad. He went underneath a tree. He got depressed. He was feeling bad. But he went into a cave and God spoke to him, encouraged him. So we can talk to our child how we must listen to God, that we must be careful to listen even to his whisper, because he wants to speak to us. But it's important that we see that these people, Elijah and the other characters we look at in the Bible, were people like us. They weren't just fictional, made-up superheroes. So you'll find on the first page of the lesson is the introduction, and there includes the main points, some ways we should deliver and teach these main points, as well as the QR code, which will take you to some YouTube videos to go alongside this week's lesson, which may help just to reinforce it. Then this week, we got back after a couple of weeks, is the stories. So these are pre-printable stories. You can use these at bedtime with your child, during a lesson. If you're doing it in church, you could send them home for them to read with the parents to reinforce what they learned at Sunday school, or you could cut them out and sort the pictures in by order. So you have a picture here is Elijah being fed by the ravens and the stream. Then we see him meeting a widow who's gathering her sticks. Next page we have him with the fire on the altar with water around it, because if you remember he put all the water on it to make sure it would be difficult to light. Then him has a cave after God speaking to him through the quiet whisper. So again, these stories reinforce the main points of our lesson. And you can do this throughout the week as a bedtime story or whatever works for you. And it's important that we reinforce this through games and activities. I know these are helpful for my son to engage with a lesson, and I'm sure it will bless you. So here's 3 lessons, activities, games or activities you can do. The first one is called Whisper Whisper. I'm sure that when your child is excited or angry, they're much more like a loudspeaker than a quiet whisper. So this is a skill that we can use to teach them how to control their voice as well as to listen carefully. So it's quite simple. You take it in turns, you whisper an instruction, and the other person must do what's whispered. So for example, put your hand on your head, and they will put their hand on their head, and so on. So that's the first one. Take it in turns with your child. Second one is feeding birds. So amazing thing about Elijah is that the birds fed Elijah, not the other way around. Take your child to the park, to a farm, to anywhere, just to feed the birds, feed the ducks. And there, as you're doing it, you could talk about how the birds fed Elijah, not the other way around, as we just mentioned. And finally, watching the clouds. If you have a sunny day, lay down in the grass, look up into the cloud, and try to find out what shapes the clouds make. Use your imagination. This game can be done anywhere. You could sit on a chair, you could look through the window in your house, and talk about what shapes you can see inside the clouds. You know, this is a fun game that's being played for the ages. I talk about then how Elijah looked for the cloud of rain, and when they seen it, it was as small as a man's hand, but he ran to tell rain was coming. Well, this week's worksheets. First one we're going to look at is 2 of the same. So again, building up the idea of looking at clouds. you need to match your clouds. You just draw a line from the one to the other and match them up to, I will say, help children to identify simple shapes. Next one, which bird fed Elijah? This is a simple maze game. So here are the birds and they follow a line around to see which one actually brought the food to Elijah when he was next to the brook. Next one is odd one out. So on each row there's one bird that is different to the rest. Talk about to your child how Elijah, when he stood up to the people against the prophet, he said, who's going to take a stand for God and stop worshipping these false idols? And nobody stood with Elijah. He was on his own. So here's a lesson to show that he was the odd one out. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's the right thing for us to do, to be the odd one out. Your child doesn't have to blend in. Finally, finish the picture. You will see the altar in front with the wood there. And there is number 12 around. I made it to look like a clock to reinforce last week's lesson. Ecclesiastes is time for everything, to link the both lessons together. What your child needs to do is finish the picture. So Elijah took 12 stones to represent each of the tribes of Israel, placed it around the altar. So your child needs to draw a rock or a stone around each one of these numbers until 12's done. Once finished, they can draw fire on the altar. So just finish the picture. You can help them to count as well, as high as they can count. You recognize numbers and see if they can count all the way up to 12. This is craft is Elijah feeds the ravens. Free template is included as well as instructions here, and there'll be a link to a video also in the playlist. So there's 2 pages you need to print. You can print it on paper or on card. Card will give a better result. This will be the back page of the craft, and let me just try to sort the right page. And this is the front page, so there's Elijah. And in this section here you would cut out. So I have the example here for you for how it will look when it's finished. And here's the craft. So you see Elijah there in the night time. And you talk about how the ravens fed Elijah by day and night. So here's the raven coming with bread in its mouth, feeds Elijah, then the midday sun. And as the sun goes, you go into evening, and the raven comes back again with more bread. And then night time, you see the moon coming around, and the ravens back in the morning with more bread. And that continued because God provided every day, every morning, every evening, food for Elijah via the ravens. So it's nice, easy craft again. Just print off a template, colour it in. You need to fasten a pin. Put a bit of sellotape on the back to protect the pin if you wish. And that's it. So this week's colouring pages, here is Elijah by the altar when it's on fire. Next one is just a simple picture of Elijah which you can colour in. And next we have some pictures of a raven. So here's one of a raven flying with food in its mouth ready to feed him. And finally, here's a picture of a raven again on the branch with some food on its mouth. So you can use these throughout the week as well as a craft instead of a craft, whatever works for you. On the final page of a lesson is some worship ideas, linked to some songs on the YouTube playlist, some prayer points, how to thank God for the way He provides us, ask Him to help us to stand up for Him even when we're alone, and ask Him to help us to listen to Him, even to His quiet whispers. Then there's a preview. Next week, carrying on from Elijah, we're going to be looking at Elisha together, and actually ties into the last bit of this week's lesson when God says to Elijah in a quiet whisper to go and call Elisha. And part of this week's lesson talking about how he encouraged him and the friendship, how it's important that we have good friends to encourage us, that we pick the right friends. Well, I really pray that you have a blessed time as you explore this lesson together. This week we'll be praying for you, and we hope to catch you again next week to look at Elisha. Now, just a bit of news. We've been uploading Portuguese lessons to our website. If you're a Portuguese speaker, we're trying to catch up as quickly as possible, but they are now available to download. Also, I received quite a few emails in the past week asking if we're going to do something special for Christmas, and we are. What we're going to do is a special Advent series leading up to Christmas, starting on the 1st of December, which will also run alongside our Old Testament lessons. So we'll keep up with our Old Testament lessons, but we'll have one extra, which if you want to use at your church or at home, that's going to be there for you. Well, God bless you, and I'll see you again next week.